Ron Harris here from MuscularDevelopment.com. Coverage of the Tampa Pro brought to you by High Tech Pharmaceuticals. Standing here with 212 champion, his first pro win, John Jewett. John, first I'm going to apologize to you. I did not barely notice you in Chicago until you got called out for third place. I go, oh, everyone's like, how did you miss this guy?
John who?
John Jewett, yeah. And I know who you are, but because when people turn pro and they don't immediately start doing well or something like they did back in the old days, I kind of forget about them. I'm old. But first of all, congratulations. It was not even, I love Zane Watson's physique, but it was a very, very, can I say dominating? It was dominating victory. You looked amazing, complete, thick, conditioned. Yeah, I've seen you a couple times, but this is definitely by far the best. Do you feel this was your best, and what do you think led to this package today being your best?
Absolutely. It's my best presentation as 212. And for me, I'm always been squeezing down into 212, so it's hard to make that weight. So it's like cutting water and doing all these manipulations, and you just make it, and it's never quite enough time to fill back out. So I've always been flat on stage. For this show...
Hold on, let's back. When you turned pro, you were already over 212, right?
I was a heavyweight, but right on that 212 border, okay. So for this show, I brought my weight down. The lowest it hit was 205 in the morning. So I was able to eat and drink water normal, not cut a thing, weigh in, and I didn't change anything. I didn't cut water, no sodium manipulation, just eat a little bit more carbs, and that was it. And it brought my best look. I was actually full and had muscle popping, and it made me hard. So that was 100% my best at 212, and all credit goes to my coach, Andrew Vu. He is... He brings the voodoo magic, I guess. So
on the Instagram Live, Jessica Reyes Padilla was she was cheering on you and Andrew Vu. You coaches both of you guys. Yeah. We just talked right before this. You told me you were a powerlifter before you started bodybuilding. Do you feel? I've noticed with guys who are former powerlifters, they have a certain look, a certain density to the muscles that you just don't see as often in bodybuilders. How much do you think your powerlifting background helped with the look that you have now?
I think it definitely helped, because even when I went into my first show in 2012, I had the thick spinal erectors and traps and bigger legs than a lot of guys that probably had been maybe training for bodybuilding and not hitting legs as much. So I built that foundation in those big lifts that added the right size to the right spots. So from there, it was just altering training to get more of the shape and the bodybuilder look versus the powerlifter look. So I think it was a huge help. And even having the mindset as a powerlifter going into bodybuilding of having a program and progressive overload and trying to get stronger within the right rep ranges. So I think there was a lot of good benefit from coming from powerlifting.
So I'm curious, because a lot of guys with that powerlifting background, they will still take phases of the year and train with the lower rep ranges. Do you do that too?
No. I think once you get far enough in bodybuilding, you need to get hypertrophy specific. Maybe if you have some strength phases, if you're earlier in bodybuilding, maybe every 4 months you have a strength phase or something. But once you need training specificity. Once you get deep enough in bodybuilding, we have to just train for muscle size and hypertrophy. So not anymore.
So you're a coach. Is that your main main way of making a living? A contest prep coach?
Yep. So I just prep clients for shows, do some general transformations, but mainly just contest prep.
I always ask this because some guys get offended, but is it tough for you when you're dieting, when you're close to a show especially, to be dealing with, I don't know how many people you work with at once, but I've coached people, it's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, they have concerns at all hours of the day and night, and I can imagine when you're starving and you're exhausted, it's probably not as easy when someone says, "Can I have a stick of gum?" or something like that. I mean, how do you stay sane? How do you stay attentive the way you need to be as a coach when you're in that last couple weeks yourself?
There's a good and bad to it. So for the good thing is I'm up all the time. So people text me morning, they're for shows, I'm going to be up because I'm not sleeping 9 hours like I do in the off season. And also being in prep, I understand the challenges that I'm going through that someone else is going to versus being in off season, you don't quite relate as well. So there is that, but at the same time, if I'm coming out and doing these shows, these other people are kind of getting a hold. I'm like, hey, I can't, you're going to be some delays. So there is some disadvantages on those weekends when I'm having to compete or do events for sponsors or something. So pros and cons, but it's my job. So it's not like, when you're an amateur and you're working a full-time job, you can't tell your boss, hey, I can't, I'm going to slack at work for the next few weeks. You can't do that. So there's no excuses. I think if you're a prep coach you put your athletes and your clients first, and that's still your thing you do on the side of bodybuilding.
So this is the second time I've seen you in a row. Chicago was 4 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
So right there, you beat. They say it's you can win shows that have weak lineups and it's not that impressive, but you beat a couple guys who are really good. Zane Watson, who just won Vancouver. Guy Cisternino, who's won many pro shows. He's been top 5 in the Olympia. I'm already hearing talk about John Jewett's going to be top 5, top 6 of the Olympia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if have you heard it yet, but I know you just won like 10 minutes ago.
Me. Yeah.
I mean, but I can see it. I can see it because you're not missing anything. A little more condition because you can never be too shredded for the Olympia.
I always want to be harder.
And this is one of those years. This is one of those rare opportunities where Flex is gone, Jose's gone. We have some legendary guys that have retired and moved on to other divisions, and this is when we see the new generation, the new blood rise up. You just got your ticket to the Olympia. I know you got to be going, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I mean, what's it going to be like the next? It's 6 weeks now.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, especially knowing that you're hearing encouraging things like that, or you're going to be hearing a lot more of it after we do this interview. You're going to look at your phone, and there's going to be all kinds of messages and stuff. But what's the mindset going into your first Olympia in a year like this, when it's a really open show with a lot of opportunities for someone new and good like yourself?
It's hard to just not always have this humbled mentality and realize where you really stand as you move up through the ranks. Like I was said on stage, like my first show I ever did, I was just hoping not to get last place, and then you win. You're like, oh, well, damn, let me go to this state show and hopefully I can just not get last place. And then you keep moving up and moving up. So coming into my first Olympia, just to walk across the stage is amazing. But I don't train for 5th or 6th place. I train to win shows. That's how my mindset has to be, to put as much effort as you do into your training and starving and everything we do in bodybuilding. So I'm training to win the Olympia. And that people say that's crazy. Well, that's just where my mind has to be for it.
You can't train for last place.
No, you can't. You can't. And you're right. Like Flex is out. There's a lot of new people coming up through, so it should be a great Olympia. And for anyone to say like I could be top 5 at Olympia is astonishing. It's hard to process that now. Just coming off of those.
I'm trying to remember when you won USA. The one thing I remember is had you been like a different weight class every year you went middleweight, light, heavyweight like 3 years in a row, was it?
The year before I competed as a middleweight, and then I came back as a heavyweight.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, a huge size increase. I should have been like maybe 183 on stage and sucked down, and then I was like a 215 heavyweight. So
Still a lot of muscle in 1 year.
Yeah, no, it was a substantial gain.
So the 212 division for you, is it going to be I know I'm asking you to forecast the future here, but do you foresee? Is it going to be tough for you to keep your weight down, because are you still in that stage where your body wants to keep growing? Because you're not an old guy, you're still. To me, you look like you're still in that phase where you're going to be getting better for a while. Is it going to be tough for you as someone? You're training to grow. You're always going to be training. That's why bodybuilders train. So I've often wondered with these weight class restrictions, is it more of a challenge because somehow you have to keep getting better without getting much heavier? Are you right at 212?
I'm pretty close. I was 210. Yeah. So I did for this show. I think what made a big difference was pulling down to like 205, and then I didn't cut water, no sodium, no diuretics, just ate normal. And that made a huge difference in my look, because every other show, it's like cut water, try to make weight, you get right there, and you never fill back out for the stage. And but I am still close to that cutoff. Maybe another 5 pounds of muscle, or the right weigh-in schedule, But I've made good changes, especially my waist, being able to vacuum now, trying to work on the aesthetics, where you put in the clay,
And realistically, size-wise, I don't think you need more size. It's just more detail. More. You can never have too much detail. Never have too much muscle maturity and quality. I don't think you need to be necessarily heavier or bigger to keep going up and up.
For me, I don't think the open makes sense. If I can win a 212 show and go to the Olympia in it, I think that would further my career than having to push my body so hard to get in the open. And how long would that take me to maybe win an open show? And then how long would I have competing in the open when you're pushing your body weight? So after weighing it all out, I think 212 will be my home. And I think this year helped confirm that for me, because the previous years just doing 7th place or 5th place, you're like, well, do I need to get bigger, or should I stay in 212? And so this was a good year to help really confirm that.
Yeah. It's annoying to me when some of the fans are always pushing everyone to go open. They're saying, Breon, they'll see the classic guys are doing well and say, he should go open. 212 guys, he should go open. Why? When you're at the top of your game, if you're doing very, very well in a division that was specifically created for a look or a weight, why would you mess with it? Like Bumstead, Breon, they're always trying to pressure these guys, but I think you're doing the right thing. I think 212 is going to be a good home for you, a good fit. You're going to do very, very well at the Olympia.
Thank you.
And if you keep getting better and better, which I believe you will, you're just going to get better and better as far as the titles go. This is not your last win. And, this is not going to be your biggest win. No. So congratulations, John.
Thanks, Ron.
From Texas. John Jewett, I know who he is now. I'm slow, but I catch on eventually. You did a great job. You looked excellent. And we wish you the best of luck at the Olympia in 6 weeks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, for Ron Harris. No, I'm Ron Harris. For muscledevelopment.com, Ron Harris, coverage of Tampa Pro, brought to you by High Tech Pharmaceuticals. Thanks for watching. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Ron, thanks for your coverage, everything you do.